Top 3 drugs to avoid, but not really. Okay, so I saw an Instagram video and it triggered me because it's something that I get a lot of questions on. And the reality of the situation is there are actual doctors that are out there that have some sort of a weird agenda, basically trying to become Instagram famous so that they will talk against the norm or against actual proven clinical practice. Why? Just so that that way it rubs people the wrong way and that way they can perpetuate themselves and move themselves forward, right? It's sad. It's actually, it's a complete violation of the Hippocratic Oath. When you become a doctor, you take a Hippocratic Oath that most folks know the first line of is do no harm. And the fact of the matter is when you put information out there that is wrong, you are indeed doing harm. So I found this one. This guy's a local guy who calls himself a natural cardiologist, which in itself is already misleading. And I did a deep dive on this guy, which I'll tell you a little bit more now in a minute. But here, let's hear what he has to say about the top 3 drugs to avoid.
Top 3 drugs I would avoid at all costs. I'm cardiologist Dr. Jack Wolfson, and I would recommend you don't take any pharmaceuticals whenever possible. And if you're on pharmaceuticals, you need a plan to get off of them as soon as possible.
Okay, so right there, that's already medical malpractice. He's saying if you're on a pharmaceutical drug, you need to get off them as soon as possible. Consider something. He's putting this out to an entire population of individuals. Folks that may be on high blood pressure medicine, anti-seizure medicine, antidepressants, whatever the case may be. Medications that have been provided to them by a healthcare provider that knows them versus he's just making a video out and making claims. It's already malpractice. Let's go on.
Without further ado, top 3. Number 1, I would never recommend taking statin drugs. Statin drugs interfere with cholesterol production. Cholesterol is great. Statin drugs interfere with the production of things like CoQ10, Dolichol, Heme, and more. So we want to make sure that we are not taking statin drugs. They don't work, lead to side effects, false sense of security.
All right, let's talk about that for a second. Statin drugs. I hear this all the time. Statins get completely bastardized. And here's the reality of the situation. And this is fact, not opinion, fact. If you look at the most common cause of death in the United States today, it is cardiovascular disease. It's literally stroke and heart attack. Those are the 2 main causes. Why? It's a combination of things. It's a combination of the American diet, which is a standard American diet is sad. It's a sad diet. It's mostly processed foods. It's not heavy on fruits, vegetables, whole foods. This is true. If you live in a food desert, which are areas that they simply don't get fresh fruits and vegetables and so forth, where the middle portion of the country is very much this way, it's actually really hard to stick to a clean diet, even if you really wanted to. Now, let's take the other side of that most folks don't talk about, which is genes. And the fact of the matter is that part of what you eat matters, and also that your genetic makeup matters as well. There are some of us that are literally, our genetic code is to die of heart disease. So this guy is saying statins are bad all the way around, yet he's calling himself a cardiologist. As a cardiologist, you would know, studies, large randomized control study, over 35,000 people, significant studies have shown that use of statin medications in the right individuals can lower risk of heart disease and stroke. We know this. We've known this for a very long time. But especially, he's trying to be edgy as a cardiologist and put information out there that's not exactly accurate, pandering to the crowd of folks that simply don't want to take medication. One last thing when it comes to cholesterol. People say, well, you need cholesterol to make cells. Yes, that's completely true. However, the cholesterol amount that you need to make cells is nowhere near what someone who actually has high lipid levels reads as. You could be on statins that are suppressing it, or just eat better and exercise if you can. Understand there's some folks that, for whatever reason, they can't exercise. What about folks who are in wheelchairs or who've had a stroke already, or things like that, that they really can't do anything but take medication? Either way, this guy's being reckless. Let's hear his next wonderful tip.
I would not take any psychiatric medication. Those are just worthless garbage. They don't work. So many other ways to address mental health and wellness issues. Work with someone who can help you. We have people on our team.
So here's a cardiologist telling folks, don't take psychiatric medications, and instead talk to somebody on their team. This is blatant advertising, and there's not enough words to describe how absolutely reckless this is. So he's telling folks, if you're taking a psychiatric medication, stop taking it, and there's other ways to get help. Let's think about this for a second. Schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, manic depression, these are all things that you can't just go to therapy for. And any reasonable physician understands this. I'm not a big proponent of saying everybody take antidepressants. That's not what I'm saying, right? There is a time and a place for therapy and for working things through and so forth and so on. But understand that there are such things as psychiatric illnesses, and those illnesses need to be treated appropriately. This is blatant malpractice that this guy's doing. I'll collect myself. Let's go on.
Avoid proton pump inhibitors or anything that suppresses gastric acid production. You want stomach acid. That's why you're built with it. So we need it. We want to embrace it. If we have digestive issues, we need to fix those. Those are my top 3.
Okay, so proton pump inhibitors. Have you ever seen an ad for omeprazole or Prilosec? That's what proton pump inhibitors are. What this reckless boob is actually saying is that, yes, we do need stomach acid. Thank you very much. And proton pump inhibitors, they decrease the amount of stomach acid that you have. That is true. What he's not talking about are esophageal ulcers, stomach ulcers, or a Billroth. A Billroth is a type of surgery that used to be very common before proton pump inhibitors were created. It's a gnarly surgery where once there's a hole or an ulcer in the stomach that is deep enough, a surgeon goes in and basically folds the stomach in on itself and staples it in an attempt to try to keep that hole from getting bigger in the stomach. You don't see these type of things anymore because of proton pump inhibitors. So yes, should folks ideally stop, do an elimination diet, try to figure out what may be causing their stomach acid to increase, then continue on with whatever the remaining of their diet is? Of course, in a perfect world, it would be that way. But you know what? Hardworking Americans are doing what they need to do to get by. They're pounding their energy drinks, they're drinking lots of coffee, some of them are smoking, popping Zyn pouches, they're being human. And humans have some flaws. So excuse me, Mr. Perfection, but the reality is that not everyone can afford to go and use your expensive service, first and foremost, or secondly, just stop a medication, which stopping any medication without directly speaking with your healthcare provider is just a bad idea. When it's people like this that piss me off. Why? Because the reality is they know better. And instead, what they want to do is they want to put something out there that makes them seem like they have the big secret. So the reality of the situation is this. If someone says that they know something that other folks don't know, they're likely a fraud. And you need to run and get away from them as fast as possible. Now, I'm not going to give this guy any more airtime, but I will say this. I did do a little research on Dr. Jack, whatever his name is, and I found multiple things. Here in Arizona, he's had, since 2015, he's had his license almost revoked multiple times. And then on top of it, in 2021, the FCC came after him for making a bunch of fraudulent claims of all the supplements that he sells that actually don't really do what he says that they do. Here's my final thing for you folks. Listen to yourself. Go and get the facts. Don't just listen to opinions of people. If something sounds too good to be true, it likely is. Remember, health is wealth. Invest in yourself. I'm Dr. Boyd.